Hi, my name is Barbers, and I want to welcome you to the Living It Out podcast. It is January 2015, and I am joined by Student Ministries Directional Leader Eric Williams, as well as Cedarville Directional Leader Lauren Snyder. And this Living It Out podcast is where we want to provide you some great information, no matter where you're at in life. If you're married, single again, with or without children, this Living It Out podcast is intended to equip and develop you so that you can live out where God wants you to be right now in this place in life. And so we're going to talk about January, how things get started at the start of the new year, and Lauren is going to kick things off.
So if I'm being honest, I hate this time of year because I hate that on the TV, on every blog you see online, everywhere you look, you see like, you can make yourself better, and it's just incredibly overwhelming. So one thing that I've learned over the past year, I think, is that you have to only tackle maybe just one thing at a time. Make a plan for that. The way I realized this over the past year, I took up running a little bit over a year ago, which was a huge hurdle for me to decide that I was going to start that. And back over the summer, I thought, for goodness sake, I'm going to figure out how to run a marathon, which was a huge goal for me. And the biggest challenge was obviously figuring out how to run 26.2 miles. But the fact that you don't do that, you can't just go out and do that in one day. It took a plan. And within that, I had to figure out when I was going to run, how to figure out my running schedule with my husband's schedule, my kids' schedule, all of that. We had to come up with a plan. And so we did that. And I figured out when it was going to fit into our life, and all of a sudden 3 months later I was able to run a marathon. But it didn't happen in one day. It required a plan, and as I made that plan, I had to be really conscious of cutting some other things out of my life, because you just can't do it all. I think that was a big message that I had to keep reminding myself. Listen, my laundry might not be done all the time, or I might not be able to read as many books as I want, or I can't watch TV, or I couldn't go shopping. I love shopping. Ben commented that our Target bill was a lot lower over the summer. So I think the big thing is, when you're making a plan and as you look ahead to this month, you go, okay, what is the one or two things that I'm going to tackle, and how can I do that? What else can I set to the side? What can I focus on? Maybe it's a physical goal for you and your family. Maybe it's a work goal, or a goal about how much you're going to spend time together as a family. Make a goal for that and make a plan for that goes along. And maybe one of your goals comes with your spiritual health for your whole family. And I'll tell you what, an easy way to focus on that and to make that a priority for you is just to look at the calendar and go, how are we going to schedule in attending a weekend service every single weekend? It's just an hour and a half for you to be there. Put it on your calendar and don't let other things get in the way. So make a plan.
Yeah, and another thing, I love that you mentioned the running piece, because in addition to making a plan to start that marathon, you also have to know to pace yourself. You can't go out and start that 26 miles the first day and continue to run. So this month, pace is going to be very important. In fact, Ecclesiastes 3 says that there's a time for everything. I mean, there's a season for planting and a season for growing, everything like that. And so you're going to have to pace yourself this month, and I think pace is very important. So when you look at your own personal plans, whether it's a spiritual plan, you want to get involved in one of the Bible reading plans, understand that you're probably, if you're not a huge reader, if this is the first time that you've jumped onto it, you're not going to read 3 chapters in a row every single day. There's going to be some setbacks. Parents, if you made a plan with your kids or your teens, they're not going to change overnight. Couples, if you made a plan together, just understand that your spouse isn't going to be a different person January 2nd, or even January 3rd, and just understand that it's going to take some time. And so the key is to pace yourselves throughout that. And I would even say for students, some of you are thinking about college plans. Some of you are in college thinking about the end of college, and understand that studying, everything like that is going to take an appropriate pace, because we all know that January is the New Year's resolution time, and then February, if you've ever joined a gym, February is when all the cars start to just disappear from. Yeah, right, exactly. You get a parking spot then, because people lose sight of their goals because they're not pacing themselves very well. So pace yourselves, make a plan, and pace yourself.
And the thing that should bring you encouragement is Philippians 1:6. The Apostle Paul is talking to the believers, and he says, "And God who began this good work in you will see it through to completion." God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And every January, we have this sense that things get to start new. So last year, if you started great and then somewhere along the line, things fell apart, and you have this sense of, am I really ever going to do it right? It's a new year. It's a new day. And there is a plan that God has for you. And that plan is for you to turn your life to Him and to let Him reframe how you think and how you feel and how you act. Lisa TerKeurst is one of my favorite authors. She's a best-selling author if you're not familiar. And even though she writes for women, she uses a term that I think men and women will both find encouraging. She calls us to make imperfect progress. Because things are not going to go straight. Lauren talked about making a plan. Eric talked about pacing. But things are not going to always go all smooth. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be hurdles. There's going to be things. And when you encounter those moments in these coming months, that doesn't mean that you're going to fail. It just means you're going to make imperfect progress. But the second thing that you should know is that commitment is the path to the win. See, God has this plan and He wants to move you forward, and He knows that there's going to be setbacks. But commitment is the path to the win. That if you remain committed, that you create space in your family calendar to be at church every week, or if you're a high school or a college student, that you get up and that you come and that you hear and you put yourself in the place where God can speak in your life. And if you make that commitment, that one small commitment, that God is going to do something to honor that in you. Mm-hmm. And so our encouragement to you is to make that plan, is to pace yourself. There's a season for everything. Give God space in that. And then know God is on your side and He is pulling for you, not just spiritually, but relationally, physically, financially, emotionally. He is pulling for you in all of those places of your life. Eric, do you got some final thoughts for us?
Yeah, so basically we want to help you make progress in these areas. We want to help you be successful for whatever your plan is for January, to get your family in shape, to get your personal life in shape, whatever it happens to be. And so we've got some resources on livingitout.tv. We've got some resources, again, on our Facebook page as well, so facebook.com/Cedar Creek TV. So comment. We're going to be putting on some blog posts, some other resources that we found for parents with small kids, for teens, for parents with teenagers, for singles, for marrieds, widows, whatever your stage of life is. We want to help you make progress in those areas. So give a comment below. Tell us a little bit about some of your plans. How are they going? How are you making progress? And how are you pacing yourself? And ultimately, we want to help you grow and learn together. So for Lauren and Barb and myself, we hope you guys have a great January.